So I'll add on with very basic explanation, and I mean, for most of the people who wouldn't know how currently the content or the IPs, so to say, are being registered, may it be title registrations or may it be your content, that is scripts or stories or any sort of write-up that is registered, right? So as we may be aware, there is Association Screenwriters Association. Screenwriter Association, we have different for the state bodies as well as we have for different countries as well. Currently, the processes are still manual. Manual, when I say, every Screenwriter Association is a self-regulated private body. These are not centralized government bodies, right? So what it does is, you are registering on the Screenwriter Association any content that you have written, but do you really think your content is safe or it's unique, right? Because if two people having the same idea or the same content registers in two separate associations, both are getting registered and you are getting a registered number. Similarly, let's say for example, language might be different. Now earlier, because your English films, Hollywood films and your Indian films were very distinct and not all the films were getting released. So there was not much of a problem. Now with every film releasing in multiple languages, if the same content, let's say if the same thriller, we have also started making sci-fis. If the same content is made in English and in Hindi, right, who is the first owner? Right, and they are released in all the languages. So with the technology now, with blockchain, what it can enable, in fact, me, Rajbhai had been discussing about it and working on certain ideas. With blockchain, it is very much possible now that consolidation of registration of all the bodies globally is possible. It's still not done, it's in the process, but yes, it is possible. That way it can save duplication, number one. It can give the uniqueness for your global registration as well. In fact, even in case of titles, today we register titles in trademarks, right? And as well as the film titles are being registered in the individual producer's body, which every producer's body at the end of the month, they exchange which titles have been received, and then after a month you get to know whether your title is registered or not. And at the same point of time, if I have registered a title in producer's body, but if somebody else have registered in trademark, legally trademark has a higher value than your individual association. So that's where also there is a conflict. So such are the cases which can be solved over the blockchain, over the platform, by being a universal registration forum.
So I want to touch upon another point, which is quite interesting from the content creators perspective, where production houses can also come in and play a very important role. There is a platform called blockchain.com. It's the first and only app in the blockchain ecosystem, basically. But it's predominantly a cryptocurrency, app. How about if we have curated shows and curated content, which then can be, seamlessly viewed on this platform, on the app. You can just download the app on your phone, and production houses like SP Cinecorp and Rock Films get together maybe 100, content creators from across India, and help them curate their shows and show them a path, to put that content on this platform. So what happens is, from a monetization point of view, since it's a crypto platform, the cryptocurrency also seamlessly acts, seamlessly to go from, from one content creator to another content creator. So that's another area that, can be path breaking. Importantly, it is actually the production houses that will have to make the move, because there isn't much, kind of awareness in this scenario. Content creators are pretty much running around like headless chickens. All they think of is YouTube, Instagram. There's a world beyond YouTube and Instagram. Both the places are cluttered. Yeah, there is relevance for both the platforms. I'm not running down both the platforms. But there's a world beyond that. Web3 is here. It's already here. It's not for the future. It's already here. So I feel, if production companies like Sharad's and mine can, empower these content creators and create an ecosystem for them, which can, help them grow from one kind of content to another. And these can cut across various kinds of genres. Like JP mentioned, he touched upon the fact that there are blockchain platforms which also streamline revenues and IPs for music. So music is again a huge area as far as India is concerned. You look at the kind of numbers T-Series YouTube platform does. How about creating an alternate ecosystem and not depending on your quintessential so-called music platforms, which basically hold the music industry with a gun on their head. These are areas where we can give wings to our content creators, to our music composers, and so on and so forth, singers and so on and so forth. What's your take on that, Sharad?
So, exactly correct. Adding further to that, like a lot of platforms earlier were only the acquisition models. Now, a lot of platforms for a lot of content, they are also working on the revenue sharing model. Now, in the revenue sharing model, it's pay per click. But how do you actually get the data of it? And how do you verify the data of it? It is what the platform gives you, right? Which data can very easily be altered and monitored, right? Because each platform keeps saying that they are bleeding money, right? If they are bleeding so much of money, and then how are they consuming so much of, they still keep consuming so much of content and they still keep expanding. So somewhere there is a leakage, right? So there are obviously, like we saw certain examples in the presentation that JB gave, the various kind of the platforms which are utilized for monetizations, for regularizing the monetizations. Again, adding further, the globalization of the platforms are also needed, because even currently today, the AI-enabled platforms that are there are still specific to certain regions. Unfortunately, like obviously, as we've always seen that trend, now it's changing slowly, where we are now seeing the startups initiating from India. Otherwise, we always followed the West. It starts from there, then it expands here, while the most complexities are here. So if you are able to solve the Indian ecosystem problem, then I'm sure you are able to solve the entire world's ecosystem problem, right? So I think the platforms that are being created, and people who are initiating creating the platform, if they do it with a global perspective, now with blockchain and technology, it is possible, right? But it needs that global perspective in order to solve these issues of piracy in terms of the distribution of revenues. Most important in distribution of revenues, when we talk about currently the major topic that's always comes in the agreement with writers and with content creators is about the royalty distribution. People keep fighting over royalty clauses, right, for days and days on certain agreements. But I fail to understand how are they even claiming on the royalties, right? Because you keep on getting the ledgers from IPRS of certain royalties that you are eligible to earn, or certain amounts that you are eligible to earn, but nobody knows how to even claim for it. Nine out of 10 people don't even know how to claim for their royalties, or how to even encash the ledger that they get. So I think with the technology, we should be able to solve those kind of problems as well, where there are royalty societies. But how can it be through smart contracts? There can be an automated distribution process, right? Which is where the true win would be.
Absolutely, I think that's the way forward. It also will help production companies also monetize their content, because like you touched upon the point earlier, that when you're getting into a rev share, probably with the OTT platform, how do you verify those numbers? It's their word against our word at the end of the day, and this kind of thing is rampant. Fudging of numbers and all kinds of things. So let's also touch upon another area, which is the social media, area, where a lot of times you get these messages on Facebook which says that this is the last day. If you don't copy paste this, Facebook and Meta will take charge of all your content and your photographs and all of that, and etc., etc., etc. The fact of the matter is they've already taken it over. That's a whole lot of humbug. They've already taken it over. And then you have a lot of innocent people, or should I call them dumb, reposting them, copying, pasting them, and reposting them, and so on and so forth. So how do you tackle that? And a lot of content creators are in that zone, where on Facebook they put out their material, whether they are stand-up comedians or whether they are singers or whether they are music composers. So how do they get their content protected? Social media is another area where you can draw a lot of traction. Because it's basically a community. So content creator needs to build the community to be able to reach his or her content or wares out to various people, the end consumer at the end of the day. So how do you do that? So blockchain has that solution. There are a bunch of such social media platforms. There's a platform called Minds, which is doing really some great stuff. It's also attached to tokens, which is again very interesting because when a content creator creates a content and puts it on Minds, he or she can gain some coins, earn some coins, tokens. Those tokens can also be in cash later on as real-time currency. So that is the brilliance of Minds as a platform. So if we get all these elements, if we bring awareness, see, at the end of the day it's all about awareness. If we are able to bring this awareness to our ecosystem, to the Indian ecosystem, you will have a lot more empowered content creators wanting to make more and more content. And as a production company or as production companies, our job would be essentially to give these content creators the platform. The curation and the scripting and everything would at the end remain with the content creators. And IPs obviously would rest with the content creators. Of course, the production houses would extract their pound of flesh for imparting their knowledge and the effort. But this is an interesting mix, music, blockchain, music on blockchain, social media on blockchain, empowering content creators. So I think it's a great period for content creators. I might turn a content creator from a producer. I'm inspired. I'm absolutely inspired. Sharad, what do you think about this?
I'll add a few more examples of the kind of cases that happens and kind of issues that happens in terms of the ownership of the rights and in terms of the right distribution. So lately it's less, but we have seen many cases wherein the same IP has been written off and signed off with multiple people, right? And only unless and until you monetize it and there are multiple claims to it on the revenue, you don't even come to know who actually is the owner of the IP, right? One of the biggest case that has happened was in the industry with some of the biggest production houses, including a T-Series. There was a big case of IPs being assigned by the producer to multiple people, right? The same IP, the same rights, and then you only realize it when you actually sold the rights, right? So I think with utilization of the blockchain, those are the kind of the areas you can protect, right? Where you are able to verify who the actual owner is. And secondly, there has always been a problem when it's revenue distribution, right? In terms of its transparency. So through smart contracts, when it's automated, right, then the distribution, like follow an escrow account system, but not everybody really follows it. But in terms of, and obviously in each content that you produce, whether it's web series, whether it's films, there are multiple IP holders, including sometimes the writers, sometimes directors also, producers, and the studio owners and platforms. So through smart contracts, you'll be able to design that mechanism of a standard sharing protocols, right, which would avoid this kind of conflicts. And unfortunately, in such cases, your IPs get blocked for years and years, and then it's already stale by the time it comes out, right? Like recently, there's a film that's getting released after 14 years. I guess Nam, right? Suppose, right? After 14 years, it's getting released for some other issues.
Roongta has taken it. Roongta Cinema is known as
Right,
Roongta Cinema.
right.
Yeah, touching other aspects, something very interesting which is happening quietly, and the Indian ecosystem doesn't seem to know about it. Although there's a huge consumption for it, is the short video content. Your snackable content, which is the 2-minute content, which is basically the legacy left behind by TikTok. Okay, so of course there are some very interesting Indian companies. There's a company called Nojoto, who's killing it. They've got a creators hub. They've got close to 10,000 creators on board, and it's a Gurgaon-based company run by two very smart young entrepreneurs. They've got 10 million subscribers. Now, as far as the quality of the content is concerned, now you don't expect that that kind of finesse when you have so many content creators. So all of it can't be judged. So while I'm talking about these 2-minute, snackable short video content, there's some very interesting, work that is being done. I'd like to, single out somebody, a platform called Fan TV. So Fan TV is basically based out of Dubai, and it's a Web3 solutions company, and they're looking to curate these snackable content. So there's something very interesting that we at Rock Films are doing in that space, which is the first of its kind. Is we're looking at doing 100-minute, and JP is aware of it. We're doing 100-minute content stretched across 50 episodes of 2 minutes each. So it's 2 minutes per episode, 50 episodes equal to 100-minute content, and we're doing it in Arabic. So that's the twist in the entire thing. So it's not about the scale in terms of how you're mounting it, who's there in it. It's all about how smartly are you curating that content as far as the script is concerned. And this is on blockchain. This is a Web3 company. So again, what we both touched upon as far as intellectual properties are concerned, smart contracts are concerned, it all kicks in automatically. So that's another huge area. And the kind of consumption of short video content that is there in India annually is staggering. It stands today at about 600 million. 600 million youngsters, Gen X, kids are watching and consuming that content because Gen X don't have the patience to look at it for long form content. So that's another area which can drive some crazy traffic as far as I'm concerned in the blockchain zone. It can also revolutionize it because whoever does it first is the first mover in the market. Obviously there are going to be a lot of people who will be chasing you at the end of the day. But by then, the person who does it first will be well ahead of the curve. So that's another area, and I think companies like us, who are also doing the large format show feature films, should also look at this, because it is a huge area. You can build this, into something really which can be a milestone. Sharad, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think what you're making, I completely align with it, and I think it's a vast area to explore, and we are still at the very start point.
Right.
I think it's a lot of people are exploring, and but it's progressing at a very good speed.
Right.
So I do see from last year, in fact, when we hosted a startup event last year, right? From last year to now, there are huge amount of other startups and other progress that has happened. So I think in no time we will see more such platforms coming up, and we'll start seeing the solutions coming up. And adaptation has also started increasing. In fact, from the industry perspective, I think from the producers and from makers who were very rigid in terms of adopting to new changes, right? From that to now, people at least accepting that okay, they need to grow and learn and change. So that itself is a good start. I feel that.
Right, absolutely. So there's another very interesting point that I want to touch upon, and that's something that we're working very hard to build on. Now in the Web3 world, like surrogate advertising, Web3 companies are not allowed to advertise. So you will seldom see any ads. You won't see any hoardings, you won't see any commercials, etc., etc., etc. So how do they promote themselves? So they do these, events, meetups, which most of the times often are not effective because they don't send out the brand message. Everybody comes in, they have a chit chat, gala time, they drink, they eat, and they go home. And it does nothing for the brand. So the idea was, and we suggested this to a couple of Web3 companies, and they were very gung ho about it. Because I did do something like that. So we've just produced a 4-part docu-series for Netflix International, basically about cryptocurrency. So what are the pitfalls and the positives of cryptocurrency? And we shot this across Bangalore, Dubai, Delhi, and various other places. And it's yet to be released. It should be seeing the daylight sometime next year in the first quarter. So what we saw is that there was a promise, because everybody was there in that docu-series, right from the Ethereum co-founder, to the Bitcoin co-founder, to a whole bunch of people, Ripple co-founder. Everybody was there. So actually, that was my first tryst with the Web3 world. I had no clue. I was a Web2 guy, and I went in for this meetup with Ajit, for which Ajit Khurana called me for. And he's known as the big daddy of the cryptocurrency and the Web3 world. And I saw there were 37 people in that meetup, and I was the 38th guy. And I was the only non-Web3 person over there. So I was like a fish out of water. I had no clue what they were talking about. There was a 20-year-old kid who had invested in 30 Bitcoins. And I was sitting right next to him. And I was really embarrassed that his bank account was probably more than mine at that point of time, But the awareness happened, etc., etc. And this particular, 4-part docu-series that I did gave me the impetus. Is how about taking, the idea to singular Web3 companies. Like, for example, you go to a Binance and you tell them, let me tell your story. Now, Binance has a very interesting story in terms of how they started and how they got, blacklisted in various countries, including India. The India story is incredible, absolutely incredible what happened with Binance in India. And now they are back. I mean, they were deregulated, now they're back, and they're back with a bang. So you go to Binance and they have a crazy graph in terms of globally, the way they were banned in so many countries, so many countries accepted them, etc., etc. So it became very, it's an amazing story, to tell. So how about going to Binance and saying that, hey, I'll do a 4-part, 5-part docu-series which talks about your story, and it absolutely falls in that zone where you can use it to advertise what Binance as a brand is all about, So this is something else that we're trying to build, and again, you put it out on the blockchain. So it again, what we both touched upon is your IPs are absolutely secure. Your smart contracts come into play, and it's original content. So this is something which also is another interesting aspect of blockchain and Web3 that can be married brilliantly. So that's my 2 bit on that. Sharad, do you have anything to put in on this?
No, I think we have touched upon all the topics.